Welcome to the latest Evershed Sutherland Legal Insights podcast.
Hello, and welcome to our podcast series, Conversations in Credit. Hi, Alex. Happy New Year.
Hi, Jo. Happy New Year, and Happy New Year to our listeners.
Gosh, it's been a while since we did a podcast, and over Christmas I was reflecting on what a busy year 2024 had been from a consumer finance regulatory perspective. So I thought it would be good to kick off the series in 2025 with a bit of a reflection of 2024 and then maybe some thoughts as to what we know is coming down the line in 2025. Hopes that's okay with you.
Sounds really good, Jo. And it's definitely that time of year to reflect on things. So obviously the key thing at the end of 2024 was the motor commissions.
It was indeed. In fact, I would say that motor commission probably dominated much of what was going on from a reg perspective in 2024 because the FCA kicked off, I think it was January 24, with the complaints pause for DCA complaints.
Gosh, it was.
Yeah, it was. Leading into then the diagnostic work that they've been doing in that space through the Section 166 that was going on. And of course, firms were then waiting with bated breath for September to come around in terms of an update on that. And then lo and behold, in October half term of all times, the Court of Appeal came out with its judgment in Hopcroft French and Johnson, which kind of kept motor on top of the agenda. And then we closed the year out with the FCA expanding that complaints pause to cover all types of motor commission complaints. So yeah, a busy period for anyone in that sector. And what else sort of strikes you as being kind of a theme of 2024, Alex, or an important thing that went on from a reg perspective?
Well, I think is an ongoing theme and will forevermore be an ongoing theme of consumer duty and embedding that consumer duty. We had the first round of board reports due. We've since had a release from the FCA around what looks good and how to improve on board reports for 2025. So obviously we hope our listeners have been documenting all their decisions as they've been making these throughout the year, which will hopefully make that board report process much easier this time round. The first time is always the hardest. So I think we'll continue to see consumer duty related work going on throughout 2025.
Agreed. There was a lot of board reports were important. I think we then had the feedback, didn't we, in December on the complaints review that they'd done a root cause analysis review. And then there was also quite a theme of fair value assessments in 2024. We'll come on to 2025 in a minute, but I think those sorts of things are going to remain at the top of the FCA agenda as we move through the next 12 months. The thing then that I was most excited about last year, because I'm a bit nerdy and geeky, was finally things moving again on CCA reform and getting that publication on BNPL regulation. So again, big things really for lots of our listeners and things that will continue to be important into 2025. Should we look at 25 and sort of briefly talk about what we know is going to happen and things that we know is on the FCA's sort of regulatory initiatives grid?
Absolutely. I was having a look at this earlier in the week, and I think there's 11 initiatives that are listed on that initiatives grid for Q1. So it looks like we're going to be in for a busy quarter again. That's just in the banking, credit and lending sector, where we've got 11 initiatives. To pull some of those out, there's the review of the debt advice rules for Conc 8 consultation paper that's due to land. We've also got the evaluation of persistent debt intervention, and that's following the credit card market study back in September 2018. There's other elements in there around financial resilience.
There's lots going on, isn't there? I mean, like you say, the FCA's got a number of initiatives that are listed on the grid, and then there's other things that are going to carry on from last year. So we talked about consumer duty a moment ago, but it feels like fair value is definitely something that's going to, be at the top of the agenda, particularly with the market study for premium finance. And we know that there's other insurance-related fair value work that's going on. I think the other interesting thing for me is the work that the regulator's doing around vulnerable customers. And we've been having lots of conversations, haven't we, with clients who are focused on this and wanting to make sure that kind of their internal policies and processes are up to scratch in terms of what the FCA's expectations might be there. I'm just reflecting on other things. So motor commission's definitely going to continue. I think the Supreme Court website's got the hearing listed at the beginning of April, so everyone's going to be waiting with bated breath for that. What else? Financial inclusion, access to cash, digital inclusion. Yeah, I mean, there's lots. Is there anything on your list that strikes you as something that people need to start thinking about?
I think there's lots to be thinking about, and I suppose it depends in which sector that you're in and whether there's things going off in other sectors that may have any read across into the sector that you're in, and maybe don't look at things in a vacuum, particularly with the FCA. But there's definitely lots going on for 2025 already.
There is, and one of the things that I think I've got a keen eye on, of course, in addition to the CCA reform and BNPL regulation, is can you remember the FCA publication that they put out about sort of giving notification of enforcement action that they were taking?
Yes, and they backpedaled, didn't they?
And the controversy that kind of surrounded that publication. Well, we've had version 2 of that come out. So there's been a separate paper on that, and I think the consultation period for that closes sort of middle of February. But it'll be certainly interesting to see what the feedback to that consultation is. And there is definitely a change in approach to the regulators. They're still intent on this early publication where it's in the public interest to do so. But it does feel like, as you say, they've rode back in terms of what the original proposals were. And that's not surprising, really, given that, I mean, this was even criticised by government, wasn't it? So I don't think it was anyone's kind of favourite initiative, but it'd be interesting to see what happens with that.
Definitely. Exciting times ahead.
Yeah, indeed. And as ever, we will sort of keep this going on a regular basis, and we'll have dedicated podcasts that pick up on specific publications and things that we know going on. But hopefully that was interesting for people. 2024 was busy, 25 set to be busy, going to be lots going on. And we look forward to kind of working with you all over the next 12 months. Thanks for listening.
Thanks very much.
Thank you for listening to the Evershed Sutherland Legal Insights podcast.